I used to have a hard time selling to people, and for the first 3 companies that I ever created, I did everything possible to remove myself from anything that could have been associated with any types of sales process. And from what I've seen over the last 3 to 5 years as being an entrepreneur myself, this is actually quite common and something I'm going to talk about today. In this video, I'm going to share the exact mindset shift that I've gone through in the last couple of years, which has allowed me to sell hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of services for one of my companies. For those of you that are new to my channel, my name is Craig Lewis, and for the last 3 years I've been running a marketing agency, and more recently I've launched a podcast, this YouTube channel, and more recently again I've launched a newsletter. All of the links for each of the items that I've just mentioned are in the banner for this channel. So if you'd like to join that community, sign up to the newsletter to get more information on how to increase the revenue and reach of your business, and feel free to click that link. It's in the banner above. In case you're wondering why I create the videos that I create, it's to share everything that I've learned and experienced over the last 5 years to help other entrepreneurs improve their businesses, their mindset in their businesses, but also increase the revenue and reach of their online companies, which is ultimately what most entrepreneurs are looking to do. So as I mentioned at the beginning of this video, I used to have a hard time selling to people, and I would spend the majority of my time in the first 3 companies I had, the first one I started of those 3 companies was in 2017. And I still remember it now. I would spend what felt like weeks and weeks and weeks creating elaborate funnels so that I wouldn't have to communicate with anybody. I would spend way too much time on fancy landing pages and tripwires to look for a sale, and everything that was possible, I would try to remove myself from anything associated with sales as much as I could. Most of the time, I think a lot of that came from like what I perceived as what selling actually meant, and I think that association was the reason why I literally went out of my way to avoid any connection and communication with people when it came to selling. And I think those are the 3 things that I'm going to talk about today later in this video, as to like the internal shift and the mindset shift that I had, and the 3 principles that I've used in the last 2 to 3 years to sell hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of services. And it's helped me a lot, and each of these 3, I think, I've either gone through my experience myself, or they've been taught to me by coaches and mentors that I've had over the last couple of years. So just to give you an idea of what my companies used to look like, they would have funnels, tripwires, everything that you would associate with like a stereotypical online business, except the sales process. So I would remove all of the sales process, everything at all. In fact, the way that I would operate my first 3 companies, the thinking and the mindset that I had at that time, they kept me playing small, even though I didn't realize it. It's only now looking back that I'm able to see that way of thinking and avoiding trying to connect, communicate, and sell to people was limiting the growth of me as an individual. The companies that I had, what I've come to realize is they were also out of alignment with what I know to be one of my values and skill sets, which is actually connecting and communicating with people. So all of that's super interesting, and I think that over the course of the last couple of years and looking at my skill sets and everything else that I've been able to unravel and unveil for myself, it's clear that everything that I did in those first 3 companies, it was no surprise that they crashed and burned and didn't create the impact that I thought they were going to have. A side note to this, everything that you see today, so all of the videos, all of the podcasts, everything that is available for everything that I do right now, the way that I used to approach creating companies and building businesses to avoid selling, this also meant that I wouldn't show up on camera, I wouldn't display who I was, I wouldn't communicate with people in the way that I'm communicating now. And it's taken me a while to shift away from how I used to think, and a lot of it was to do with what I thought selling actually meant. And it's been an interesting couple of years, because now there's a podcast, there's videos, and there's a ton of other stuff that I'm doing right now that I would never have done a couple of years ago. And it's the 3 shifts that I'm about to share today that have helped me make that shift into the fact of I can make videos, I can make content, and hopefully it is received well by other business owners, and they can use some of what I'm sharing to help grow their businesses. So here is some of the things that I used to think selling to people actually meant. I thought that it was being too pushy. I thought that following up with people was not something people wanted to experience. I felt like sticky and a bit icky when it came to selling to people. And all of the like negative associations that you have with like, what if I come across too cheesy? What if I come across a bit like awkward? All of those things I held on to. Those are things that I actually believed about myself when it came to selling anything. And for those reasons, I did everything possible to step away from selling, which obviously meant that the first 3 companies I had didn't materialize into anything significant at all. So it doesn't take like a genius to work out that having those beliefs and stories around selling was going to result in one of 2 things. One is to continue down the path and not be seen and be heard and sell, which would ultimately not grow a company. And the other is I would just stop. And those are 2 things that I didn't want to happen. And I think that moving away from those stories and creating new stories around what I believe selling to be has helped me significantly. So these are the 3 different mindset shifts that I think encapsulate one internal shift in general. And I think it's these 3 anchors which I'm about to go through now. They are what I've used over the last couple of years and what I continue to stand by today and moving forward with. I have full conviction in what it is I'm about to share, and I think that the flip in how we see and perceive selling from a business perspective to individual people will help you as well, and that's kind of why I'm sharing what I'm about to share. So the first one is it's your duty. If you've been called to create a product or service, you're in a very small percentage of people on the planet. Think about how many people never show up and never have an idea that they move forward with. You're in that particular small percentage of individuals. On the other end of the scale, not only have you been called to show up and share your message and create the product and create the service, you're also in the small percent of the small percent that are actually doing something about it. So if you've had these ideas, if you're beginning to show up, if you're beginning to help other individuals with what it is that you've created or about to create already, helping people with, I see this as it's your duty. You have a duty to share your message, your product and service with the world. And for me, this has been one of the biggest internal shifts. It's, okay, so if I have this idea, if I have these tips and suggestions that I know can help other business owners because I've used them myself, I have a duty to share those. And I think this was one of the pivots that's helped me be comfortable with selling what I know. So this is number 2, and this is, it took me a while to be comfortable with this because I didn't want to admit this was probably true. If you don't show up and if you don't share what you have because of your own personal feelings around what we perceive selling to be, and this is a good anchor to remember, and that it's you're being selfish. And what I mean is, if you have something that you've created that you know can help someone, or you know can help improve someone's business, someone's life, someone's health, someone's relationships, and you're not showing up and selling in the way that you can, you're potentially harming those individuals who are looking for help in the area that you can help with. What can also happen is, because you're not selling as much as possible, because you're not selling because of how you feel, because of your personal feelings, these individuals are likely to go and continue to search for something that can help them, and they may find things that are not as good as the thing that you have already created. So this helped me shift away from how I felt about selling when I first started to do sales calls and to start selling higher end services. Is I had to remove my feelings from it and know that what I have can actually help people. And when you step into, I know I can help somebody, it removes all of the emotion about how I think I feel about what selling actually means. So I think it's important to understand that if you have full conviction in the thing that you can help people with, and you're not selling to as many people as possible, then it's actually a selfish thing, and because you're potentially harming people by not selling your product and service. So this is number 3 of the 3 perceptions that I've adopted and moved into over the last couple of years. And this third one ties in more of a personal responsibility and more of a business mindset. And it's that you have a moral and ethical obligation to grow your business. If you've started a business and your intention is to help people with whatever aspect of your company that you've created, whether it's health, wealth, relationships, or any other some variation of those 3 main topics, it's your moral and ethical obligation as a business owner to do 2 things. The first is to maximize profits and revenue, because that's how a company grows. The company you've created needs profit to grow. That's ultimately how you're going to grow a company. And the second is you have a duty to yourself to look after yourself as a business owner. And the only way you can do that is by selling the thing that you have to help other people. And this, again, like this third aspect of this has helped me significantly over the last couple of years, and it's that I've adopted the mentality, and I tell myself the story that I have a moral and ethical obligation to grow my company and also to look after myself as an individual and a business owner. So over the last couple of years, these 3 anchors for me have served me quite well, and they will continue to serve me well as I move forward. I think that removing any association to how I felt around selling, what I used to believe, and the stories I used to tell myself, they clearly didn't serve me, they clearly didn't help. I know for sure this is something that other business owners have at some level or another. It doesn't matter what level we're at. I think it's important to recognize what stories do we tell ourselves around what we think selling is, and to flip that in a much more positive aspect in terms of, if I know I can help someone, it's my duty to help them. My product and service is good, therefore I should be selling to people that need what I have. It's selfish not to show up and sell as positively and impactfully as possible, and that you have a duty as a business owner to grow your business, but also to look after yourself as a business owner and an individual at the same time. As I mentioned in the beginning, it took me 3 different companies and a couple of years to finally recognize what was happening. The intention for me sharing this video is that it doesn't take that long, and hopefully will shortcut that time frame from being average at selling or not even want to sell to actually being quite good and selling at scale in terms of your product and service, and actually helping individuals with what you have. So yeah, that was my intention for today. I hope this video has helped. If you'd like to see more videos on this, please hit the subscribe button and be sure to check out the links in the banner for more information.